Okay, so let's begin. Yeah, I change my ringtone every day. Okay, so let's begin. You get to choose it at the end of the day which ringtone you like. Okay. You like that one, didn't you? Right, okay. Some of the younger women at work who had their children crying as their ringtone. Speaking of, or makes you want to flush the toilet, flush the phone down the toilet. So let's begin. Is that how I said it? I think I've modified my ringtone. So, okay. On your mat. Yeah, you can lie on your back, on the mat. So there are a couple of people who have to leave at lunchtime. You just told me that's what I don't do that. So there was a request to finish the Carter series this morning. So the basic itinerary this morning is we'll do this first. Then we'll see how long that takes. It's quite, there's some interesting things to experience in that this morning. After morning tea, Angela et al. Will do the knee. They'll do the knee. Thy knee will be done. And then we'll have all sorts of other goodies for the usual now. Like that. Okay, so I'm just trying to remember. I had some little pearl last night as I was going through the Carter business. So I wanted to share with you to sort of round off my process. Damned if I can remember what it is. It's so profound. It was life-changing. It'll come to me, maybe. If it doesn't, I'll just left you a gap to create your own life-changing process. On that topic, Gloria rang Eric. You don't mind me sharing the story? So Eric, it was in a couple of trainings ago. So he's a Box Hill graduate. Some of you may know Eric up in Hippie Land. Isn't he up in Laney or somewhere? That massive cicada and massive hippie fantasies, hippie crawly things up there. Anyway, Eric has a martial arts background, and so Gloria asked him about the kata, and he sent her to a sensei doing it. And it is, he said, it's the bit of the movement that he's doing from, second 26, second 28. So it's like 2 seconds to it in the form that the guy's doing. Have I said that correctly?
3 minutes. Goes for 3. So the whole form of the 5 wings goes for 3 minutes. And what we're learning is 2 seconds of that 3 minutes. And when he told me, when he sent me the link and I had a look at that 2 seconds, it was really hard to even find anything resembling what we've been doing. But you could find it once you were pointed out which 2 seconds it was, because it was nothing like what we've been doing. It's so fabulous. Yeah, it just brought home to me how awesome it is, that we're doing like 2 seconds and it's taking us this long to even become aware of the 2 seconds. Put in perspective when Susan keeps talking about the fact that it's difficult. Like, oh yeah, right, 2 seconds in 3 minutes. Wow.
Sure.
it's a sequence of 5 forms, which is things like the rushing of the wave to shore and coming back again. And it's like 2 people doing a staged form fight. So this is how they actually do martial arts, but this is like a series of exercises, I guess, that they do to practice, and they have competitions in it and everything. So so that's one of them. There's 5 of them, 5 different ones, all to do with nature and movements in nature and how you translate that into your body. Mm.
So there's another sort of obvious thing here about preparing lessons, where you find a point where you're stuck, and you use all your internal resources about how to begin to understand what you're attempting to learn. And sometimes I can forget this kind of vital resource, which is so external. Like, I can go to books. That's not a problem. Angela was just talking about parenting, and my default as a new mum was to go to books. In fact, a lot of help that is, but makes you feel better. So your default might be to go to books, to theory, to external written whatever, theory, evidence. And of course, there's this external kind of wisdom in the group. So one of the features of how training programs are changing is that we have recognised the importance of you experiencing and practicing using the resource of your peers. And I would have to, I'm not blowing smoke up your bums here, but this group have kind of embraced this peer learning to an extent greater than any other. Darren and I've been talking about it, and Jenny. It's not like the other groups don't do this, but they're often, sort of can be a bit patchy. Whereas, the first year of this training program would have to, you would have to say, has been, the highlight for us watching has been the learning, the continuous learning. That you do, in individual pairs, small groups, large groups, face to face, that kind of support. And watching you this week, that would be my takeaway flavour, is the richness of the learning when, when the microphone goes off, you get into the groups of 4 or 5 and you start chatting. Now maybe, I don't know, I'm not listening, trying not to listen, not be discussing, shopping tactics, I don't know. But so because this is your first training program, you probably don't realise what an extraordinary resource that is, because that you're setting yourself up, in universities you talk about lifelong learning, but that ability to learn from each other sets you up for lifelong learning. And so Gloria extended that boundary to include another colleague who's not even in the country at the moment. So you can see how that resourcefulness, we can think about the method as always going internal for internal resourcefulness, but that resourcefulness of you can go internal, use your own internal resources so much, and then you realise, okay, I've learned as much as I can internally. Where else can I go? Colleagues, books, etc. So that's that's certainly something that I learned to do. I'm happy to go to books. I've learned over the years. That's why I like sort of team teaching in this way, with Dora, Jenny, and Ruth, because that supports my learning as a teacher. So just remember that when you graduate and you're feeling a bit isolated, maybe, that you don't have to be, because you've learned here how to ask for clarification, information from somebody else. I didn't remember the other thing that I was thinking about last night with this process is, hopefully what I've illustrated to you is that, during the course of this week, I've gained an intellectual understanding, in terms of the neurology, you know, if you think about different in terms of the sequencing and the pathway of the movement and the activation, so the effort, so the S and the P and the E and respiration, all the rest of it. I've got a sort of an intellectual Tripper-like understanding of this lesson, but it's not in my body particularly yet, right? So, you know, if you think of what's that science fiction book that I read when I was a teenager, where to really understand something you had to eat it, you had to ingest it, you had to grok it, it's still grokking. But to really understand it, you had to eat it, you had to have it internalized. So still for me, the theory is only partially internalized. So I wouldn't say that I still completely understand it, even though I have a lot of technical knowledge, I can explain it to you. So those of you who are saying, you know, I want to be able to articulate this stuff, this is a case in point where I can articulate this lesson. Now, I'm pretty satisfied with the way I've articulated it. It doesn't mean I can still do it, right? So in our culture, we really value this kind of intellectual being able to articulate. But in this room, we're actually really valuing the experience, like the somatic understanding of it, the experience of it. And actually maybe somewhere in there, you know, we can learn to value both of those, and they're not actually, you know, two separate things. So don't throw away the experience of something, thinking that, well, if only I could articulate it or understand it intellectually, that's the highest level. But it's actually not, is it? Clearly, if I can't do it. So you get what I'm saying? You know, that knowledge is great, skill is great. We need both. So value your own anatomy textbook inside. There you go. I knew it would come to me. So you just don't have to hassle about things. You just have to let, you know, your memory set. That's a great example of, I could have sat there and consciously tried to remember what the pearl was. Maybe it wasn't a pearl after all, but sort of out of a shell. But you know, you set your subconscious the task of ferreting around to find that memory that was it while I was getting back to the subconscious. That was a case in point.